We gather this evening to explore a concept that may initially appear jarring, even controversial. However, I assure you that as we delve deeper into its meaning and significance, you will come to understand its profound power in shaping your reality. Our topic tonight is this: disengage from everyone, because no one is going to do it for you. Now, you might be wondering, what do you mean by disengage from everyone? Isn't that unkind or even cruel? I understand your concern, but I implore you to set aside your preconceptions and open your mind to a deeper truth about the nature of reality and your place within it. You see, my dear listeners, the world you experience, every person, every relationship, every interaction is but a reflection of your own consciousness. It is a mirror showing you the contents of your own mind. And when you allow others to constantly demand your time, energy, and attention, when you feel obligated to respond to every call, every message, every request, you are not living in alignment with your true self. You are not honoring the divine spark within you. Let me be clear, I am not advocating for complete social isolation or callousness towards others. Far from it. What I am proposing is a radical shift in your perception of reality and your role within it. You are the operant power in your world. You are the one who shapes your experiences through the power of your imagination and your beliefs. When you feel compelled to be constantly available, to respond immediately to every demand on your attention, you are operating from a place of lack. You are unconsciously telling yourself and the universe that you are not worthy of peace, of solitude, of selective engagement. You are placing your power in the hands of others, allowing their needs and demands to dictate the course of your life. But remember this fundamental truth: no one else can do it for you. No one else can imagine for you. No one else can assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled on your behalf. This is your responsibility, your divine right, and your sacred duty. So how do we apply this understanding of disengaging from everyone in our lives? How do we disengage without becoming hermits or misanthropes? The answer, my listeners, lies in the power of your imagination and the law of assumption. Imagine, if you will, the ideal version of yourself, calm, centered, in control of your time and attention. See yourself confidently choosing when and how to engage with others. Feel the peace that comes from not being at the beck and call of every notification, every demand for your attention. Experience the joy of living life on your own terms, engaging deeply and meaningfully when you choose to do so. This version of you exists right now in your imagination, and your imagination, my dear listeners, is the very fabric of reality. What you imagine with feeling, with conviction, must externalize in your world. It is law. Now, some of you might be thinking, but won't this make me selfish? Won't this damage my relationships? To this, I say, what others think of you is none of your business. Their opinions, their judgments, their perceptions, these are all reflections of their own consciousness. You are not responsible for their imaginings. Your only responsibility is to be true to the divinity within you, to honor your own need for peace and solitude, to respect your own boundaries, to value your own time and attention. When you do this, when you assume the state of being in control of your engagement with the world, the outer world must conform to match this inner conviction. Let me share with you a story to illustrate this point. There was once a man named James who was known for his constant availability. His phone was always on, he responded to every message immediately, he said yes to every invitation and request. He was, by all accounts, the opposite of someone who would disengage from others. But James was also exhausted, overwhelmed, and unfulfilled. He found himself constantly reacting to the demands of others, never having time to pursue his own goals and dreams. He was, in essence, living everyone else's life but his own. One day, James discovered the power of imagination and the law of assumption. He began to imagine himself as someone who was in control of his time and attention. He saw himself confidently setting boundaries, choosing when and how to engage with others. He felt the peace and satisfaction of living life on his own terms. At first, this felt unnatural to James. It went against his habitual way of being. But he persisted in his imaginal acts. Night after night, he would fall asleep feeling the satisfaction of being in control of his own life. And then, my listeners, the miracle occurred. James's outer world began to change. He found himself naturally setting boundaries. He became comfortable with not responding immediately to every message. He learned to say no to invitations and requests that didn't align with his goals and values. To his surprise, his relationships didn't suffer. In fact, they improved. The people in his life began to respect his time and boundaries. His interactions, though less frequent, became more meaningful and fulfilling. Within months, James had transformed his life. You see, by changing his inner world, by assuming the state of being in control of his engagement with others, James transformed his outer reality. He disengaged from everyone in the sense that he stopped being constantly available and started honoring his true self. And the world had no choice but to conform to this new self-concept. This, my dear listeners, is the power that lies within each and every one of you. You are not at the mercy of others' demands and expectations. You are the creator of your reality. So I ask you now, who would you be if you disengaged from everyone? How would you spend your time? How would you engage with others? How would you feel? Imagine it vividly. Feel it deeply. For in that imagination, in that feeling, lies the seed of your transformation. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. Your relationships, your social obligations, your constant connectivity, all of these are reflections of your own consciousness. When you change your concept of self, when you start disengaging from everyone and start honoring your own needs and boundaries, the world must change to match this new self-concept. This is not about becoming a recluse or cutting off all human contact. It's about aligning with your true self, with the divine spark within you. It's about recognizing that you are worthy of peace, of solitude, of selective engagement, not because of what you do for others, but because of who you are. In your social life, as in all areas of life, you must be the author of your own story. You must write the script of your interactions. No one else can do this for you. No amount of constant availability, no degree of people-pleasing can substitute for the power of your own imagination and the conviction of your own worth. So tonight, I challenge you to revise your story. If you've been the always available friend or the constant responder, imagine a new version of yourself. See yourself as calm, centered, in control of your time and attention. Feel the satisfaction of setting clear boundaries. Experience the joy of engaging with others on your own terms. This new self-concept may feel uncomfortable at first. Your habitual way of being may resist this change. But persist, my listeners, for your outer world has no choice but to conform to your inner convictions. The universe is infinite in its ability to respond to your consciousness. There is no limit to what you can achieve when you align with your true self. Your relationships, your peace of mind, your fulfillment, all of these are waiting for you to claim them through the power of your imagination. So tonight, as you leave this gathering, I want you to carry with you this powerful truth. You are not here to be constantly available. You are here to be true to yourself, to honor your divine nature, to express your unique gifts. And when you do this, when you start disengaging from everyone and start being authentically you, you will find that the world responds in kind. Your relationships will become more meaningful, not less. Your interactions will be more fulfilling. Opportunities for genuine connection will naturally come your way, for you will have aligned yourself with the fundamental truth of your being, that you are the operant power in your world. Now, some of you might be wondering, but how do I start this transformation? How do I begin disengaging from everyone without completely isolating myself? And this, my listeners, is where the true work begins. The first step is awareness. Become aware of the moments when you're responding out of obligation rather than genuine desire. Notice when you're saying yes when you really want to say no. Pay attention to the times when you're sacrificing your own peace and solitude to meet the demands of others. Once you've cultivated this awareness, the next step is to use your imagination to create a new self-concept. This is not about visualizing specific events or outcomes. It's about feeling the essence of who you want to be. Imagine yourself as someone who is calm, centered, in control of their time and attention. Feel the satisfaction of engaging with others on your own terms. Experience the joy of having time and space for yourself. Make this imaginal act as vivid and as real as possible. Now, here's the crucial part: you must persist in this new self-concept. Your old habits, your old ways of constant availability will try to reassert themselves. The world around you might initially resist your new way of being. But remember, persist in the face of contrary evidence, for it is your persistence that will eventually shape your reality. Let me give you a practical exercise to help you in this process. Tonight, before you go to sleep, imagine a scene that implies you are now the person who is in control of their engagement with the world. Perhaps it's the feeling of peace as you turn off your phone for the evening. Maybe it's the satisfaction of saying no to an invitation that doesn't align with your goals. Or it could be the joy of spending an uninterrupted day pursuing your own interests. Whatever scene you choose, make it as real as possible. See it clearly in your mind's eye. Feel the emotions, the peace, the satisfaction, the sense of empowerment. And as you drift off to sleep, hold on to that feeling. Let it be the last thing in your consciousness as you enter the sleep state. Do this night after night, and watch as your waking life begins to align with this imaginal act. For remember, my dear listeners, what you imagine with feeling, with conviction, must externalize in your world. It is law. Now, I want to address a concern that some of you might have. You might be thinking, but won't this make me a bad friend or family member? Isn't it wrong to disengage from people who care about me? And to this, I say, there is no virtue in constant availability. There is no nobility in sacrificing your own peace and well-being to meet every demand on your time and attention. You see, when you're constantly available, when you never disengage from anyone, you're not just harming yourself. You're also doing a disservice to those around you. You're denying them the opportunity to experience your true self, your authentic presence, your undivided attention when you do choose to engage. Moreover, you're setting an example that perpetuates this cycle of constant connectivity and obligation. Is that really the legacy you want to leave? Is that really the example you want to set for others in your life? Instead, imagine the positive impact you could have by being true to yourself, by honoring your own need for peace and solitude, by engaging with others intentionally and meaningfully. You would be setting an example of self-respect and authenticity. You would be showing others that it's possible to have deep, fulfilling relationships without sacrificing one's own well-being. Remember, my listeners, you are not here to be available to everyone all the time. You are not here to meet every expectation and demand placed upon you. You are here to be the fullest, most authentic expression of yourself. And when you align with this truth, when you start disengaging from everyone and start being genuinely you, you'll find that the right people will understand and respect your boundaries. The right relationships will deepen and flourish. The right kind of connections that don't require you to compromise your peace or exhaust yourself, will naturally develop. Now, let's delve deeper into the practical application of this principle in your day-to-day life. How do you actually start disengaging from everyone without completely isolating yourself or damaging important relationships? The key lies in understanding that setting boundaries and being selective about your engagement is not the same as complete withdrawal. It's about finding that sweet spot where you can maintain meaningful connections while also honoring your own need for peace and solitude. Let's explore some specific scenarios where you might typically feel obligated to be constantly available, and how you can approach them differently. When you receive a non-urgent message, instead of feeling compelled to respond immediately, give yourself permission to wait. You might decide to check and respond to messages at specific times of the day, rather than being constantly reactive. When you're invited to a social event, rather than automatically saying yes to avoid disappointing others, take time to consider whether attending aligns with your current needs and goals. It's okay to decline invitations, even without providing an elaborate excuse. When you're expected to be always reachable, consider setting do not disturb hours on your phone, or even having periods where you turn it off completely. Communicate to others that you won't always be immediately available, but that you'll respond when you're able. When work tries to encroach on your personal time, establish clear boundaries between work and personal life. This might mean not checking work emails outside of office hours, or not taking work calls during your off time. When friends or family demand constant attention, have honest conversations about your need for space and time alone. Help them understand that your desire for solitude isn't a rejection of them, but a necessity for your well-being. In each of these scenarios, the key is to act from a place of self-respect and authenticity, rather than from a sense of obligation or fear of disappointing others. Remember, you are not being unkind by setting boundaries or taking time for yourself. You are simply honoring your own worth and teaching others how to treat you. Now, my dear listeners, I want you to understand that this transformation from being constantly available to being selectively engaged is not something that happens overnight. It's a process, a journey of self-discovery and self-assertion. You may find yourself slipping back into old patterns of people-pleasing or constant connectivity. When this happens, do not berate yourself. Do not judge yourself harshly. Simply recognize it as an opportunity to choose again, to realign with your new self-concept. Remember, every moment is a new opportunity to decide who you want to be. Every notification, every invitation, every demand on your attention is a chance to practice being this new, more centered version of yourself. And with each choice, with each assertion of your boundaries and your worth, you are reshaping your reality. You see, my listeners, your world is plastically formed. It is constantly being molded by your consciousness, by your beliefs about yourself and your place in the world. When you persist in your new self-concept, when you consistently choose to honor your own need for peace and solitude rather than being constantly available, you are literally reforming your world. Your friends and family will begin to treat you differently. Your colleagues will view you in a new light. Opportunities for genuine, meaningful connection will suddenly become available, for you will have changed the only thing you can truly change: yourself. Now, I want to address another aspect of this transformation: the fear that often accompanies it. Many of you might be afraid of the consequences of disengaging from everyone. You might fear losing friendships, missing out on opportunities, or being seen as selfish or uncaring. But I say to you, my dear listeners, that these fears are merely shadows cast by your old self-concept. They are not real. They have no power over you unless you give them power through your belief. Instead, I urge you to turn your attention to the positive aspects of this transformation. Imagine the relief of no longer being at the beck and call of every notification. Feel the satisfaction of engaging with others on your own terms. Experience the joy of having time and space for self-reflection and personal growth. This is the power of your imagination at work. By focusing on these positive feelings, by assuming the state of being in control of your time and attention, you are creating the very conditions that will allow these experiences to manifest in your outer world. Remember, the outside world is a reflection of your inner world. As within, so without. When you change your concept of self, when you stop seeing yourself as someone who needs to be constantly available and start seeing yourself as someone worthy of peace and selective engagement, your outer world must change to match this new self-concept. This is not magic, my listeners. This is the law of your own being. This is the creative power that lies within each and every one of you, waiting to be recognized and applied. So I challenge you, starting today, to begin this transformation. To start disengaging from everyone in the sense of becoming more selective about your engagement with the world. To value your own time and attention. To assert your boundaries. To create space for solitude and self-reflection. Begin with small steps if you must. Perhaps it's not responding to a non-urgent message immediately. Maybe it's declining an invitation to an event you don't truly want to attend. Or it could be setting aside an hour each day for uninterrupted solitude. Whatever it is, do it with the conviction that you are worthy, that your time and attention are valuable, that you deserve peace and space for yourself. Feel the truth of these statements in every fiber of your being. And then, my dear listeners, watch as your world begins to change. Watch as your relationships become more meaningful and less demanding. Notice how you feel more centered and at peace. Observe how new opportunities for genuine connection seem to appear out of nowhere. For you will have aligned yourself with the fundamental truth of your being, that you are the operant power in your world, that you and you alone are responsible for the quality of your engagements and the peace in your life. No one else is going to do it for you. No one else can imagine for you, can assume for you, can believe for you. This is your responsibility and your privilege. So embrace it fully. Step into your power. Start disengaging from everyone in the sense of becoming more intentional about your engagement with the world, and start being genuinely, authentically, powerfully you. As we near the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a final thought. This journey you're embarking on, the journey from constant availability to selective engagement, is not just about improving your social life or finding more time for yourself. It's about aligning with your true self, with the divine spark within you. When you honor your own need for peace and solitude, when you assert your boundaries, when you engage with the world on your own terms, you are not just changing your circumstances. You are changing your entire life. You are stepping into alignment with your higher self, with the creative power of the universe that expresses itself through you. This alignment, this congruence between your inner self and your outer expression, is the key to true fulfillment and peace in all areas of life. For when you are true to yourself in one area, it becomes easier to be true to yourself in all areas. So as you leave here tonight, I want you to carry with you this powerful truth: you are not here to be constantly available. You are here to be you, in all your glorious, authentic, centered uniqueness. You are here to express the divine spark within you, to bring your unique gifts to the world when and how you choose. And when you do this, when you start disengaging from everyone in the sense of becoming more intentional about your engagement with the world, you will find that the world responds in kind. You will discover a depth of peace, fulfillment, and genuine connection that you never thought possible. For you will have aligned yourself with the fundamental truth of your being, that you are the operant power in your world, that you and you alone are the author of your story. So go forth, my dear listeners, and write a new story for yourself. A story of self-respect, of intentional living, of true peace. A story where you no longer need to be constantly available because you are too busy being gloriously, unabashedly you. Remember, the world is waiting for you to claim your power. It's waiting for you to step into your true self. So don't keep it waiting any longer. Start today. Start now. For now is the only time there is, and now is the perfect time to become the person you were always meant to be. Thank you, my listeners. May you go forth and create the life and the relationships that you truly desire and deserve. The power is within you. Use it wisely. Use it well. And watch as your world transforms before your very eyes. And as we conclude our gathering, let us take a moment to reflect on the profound truth we've explored tonight. The concept of disengaging from everyone is not about isolation or rejection. It's about reclaiming your power, about choosing consciously how and when to engage with the world around you. Remember, my dear listeners, that every interaction, every response, every moment of engagement is a choice. And with every choice, you are shaping your reality. You are declaring to the universe who you are and what you value. When you choose to disengage from everyone in the sense we've discussed tonight, you are not pushing people away. Rather, you are drawing to yourself the experiences and relationships that truly resonate with your authentic self. You are creating space for miracles to occur, for genuine connections to flourish, for your true purpose to unfold. Imagine, if you will, a life where your time and attention are yours to give freely, not demanded by the constant pings of technology or the expectations of others. Picture yourself moving through your days with a sense of calm purpose, engaging deeply and meaningfully when you choose to do so, and relishing the peace of solitude when you need it. This life is not a fantasy. It is not something reserved for hermits or the socially elite. It is your divine right, available to you here and now, if only you will claim it through the power of your imagination and the law of assumption. So tonight, as you return to your homes, I urge you to begin this practice. Start small if you must, but start. Perhaps it's setting aside an hour each day where you are completely unavailable to the outside world. Maybe it's choosing one day a week to turn off your phone and focus solely on your own needs and desires. Whatever form it takes for you, approach it not with fear or guilt, but with a sense of joyful anticipation. For in these moments of chosen solitude, of intentional disengagement, you are creating space for the divine to express itself through you. You are allowing your true self, your highest self, to emerge and flourish. And as you persist in this practice, as you hold fast to this new concept of self, watch and wonder as your outer world begins to shift. Notice how people begin to respect your boundaries more. Observe how your relationships deepen and become more meaningful. Feel the sense of peace and purpose that infuses your days. For you see, my dear listeners, when you disengage from everyone in this way, you are not retreating from life. You are stepping more fully into it. You are declaring to the universe that you are worthy of peace, of respect, of intentional living. And the universe, being yourself pushed out, has no choice but to conform to this new self-concept. Remember, the world is not happening to you. You are happening to the world. You are the operant power, the creative force, the divine spark expressing itself in human form. And when you align with this truth, when you live from this understanding, miracles become your daily bread. So go forth, my beloved listeners, and claim your divine right to peace, to solitude, to selective engagement. Disengage from everyone, not out of fear or resentment, but out of a deep love and respect for the divine within you. For in doing so, you are not just transforming your own life. You are contributing to the transformation of the entire world. For each of you who chooses to live in this way, who chooses to honor their own needs and boundaries, creates a ripple effect that touches countless lives. You become a living example of what is possible, a beacon of authentic living in a world that so desperately needs it. And who knows? Perhaps your choice to disengage from everyone will inspire others to do the same. Perhaps your example of intentional living will spark a revolution of consciousness, a global shift towards more meaningful connections and more purposeful engagement. This is the power that lies within you. This is the responsibility and the privilege of being human, of being a conscious co-creator with the divine. So embrace it fully, my listeners. Step into your power. Live from your highest self. For in doing so, you are not just changing your life. You are changing the world. You are fulfilling your divine purpose. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. So tonight, as you lay your head upon your pillow, I invite you to feel deep gratitude for this understanding. Feel thankful for the power that lies within you, for the ability to shape your reality through your imagination and your assumptions. And as you drift off to sleep, hold in your mind the image of your ideal self, centered, peaceful, engaging with the world on your own terms. Feel the satisfaction of living life intentionally. Experience the joy of deep, meaningful connections. Revel in the peace of chosen solitude. For as you sleep, this seed of your new self-concept will take root in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. And from this seed, a new reality will grow, a reality that mirrors your highest aspirations, your deepest truths, your most authentic self. Remember, my dear listeners, the world is yourself pushed out. As you transform your inner world, your outer world must follow suit. It is law. It is the way of things. It is the creative power of the universe expressing itself through you. So go forth and create, my beloved listeners. Go forth and live intentionally. Go forth and disengage from everyone in the most divine sense of the phrase. For in doing so, you are not retreating from life. You are stepping more fully into it. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. Thank you, my listeners. May your lives be filled with peace, purpose, and the joy of authentic living. The power is within you. Use it wisely. Use it well. And watch as your world transforms before your very eyes.